Like to call to order the hearings of today, Public Improvement Commission, August 9, 2018. First order of business, the hearing minutes of July 26 have been reviewed and approved. First hearing under the utility poles. On a joint petition by Eversource Energy and Verizon New England to relocate one utility pole on Gill Street, Roxbury, to be located on its northeasterly side, generally across from Thornton Street.
Good morning. My name is Bill Wallace, representing Verizon on this petition. Petition is to relocate existing pole 5 on Gill Street, approximately 16 feet, so that a new driveway entrance can be created for the condo construction that's going on right at the corner of Washington and Gould. Pretty straightforward.
Staff recommendation. Any comments from the audience? Comment from commission members? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition to relocate one utility pole on Giles Street. As read into the record by the chair. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, public hearings continued. First item, on a petition by DJ Properties LLC for the widening and relocation of the existing right-of-way lines of Damrell Street, a public way South Boston, on its southwesterly side between Old Colony Avenue and US Street. This was heard under new business on June 21st and a public hearing on July 12th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Highway Easement Plan, Damrell Street, Public Way, Washington Village, South Boston, 2 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. I'm here on behalf of DJ Properties LLC, and I offer our apologies. We are not ready for the public hearing today. We're continuing to work with BTD on addressing the comments that were raised at the new business. For this public hearing and for the next 6, so continued public hearing 1 through 7, I'll be seeking a continuance until September 20th. This will allow us 6 more weeks to make sure that we address everything adequately.
By any commission members?
So I did receive a technical memorandum from Howard Stein Hudson yesterday relative to the loading and some of the signal analysis stuff like that. Looked very well put together. The engineers go through the analysis now and stuff, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Are there any comments by any person in the audience that came here for this hearing? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this to 6 weeks for September 20th.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC1 on the agenda, as read into the record by the chair. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Second item on the agenda, on a joint petition by DJ Properties LLC and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the abandonment of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within the private way portion of Alger Street, South Boston, from Dorchester Avenue to its southeasterly terminus. This was heard under new business on June 21st of this year, public hearing on July 12th. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Abandonment Plan, Alger Street, Private Way, Washington Village, South Boston, 1 sheet dated May 30th, 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC and the City of Boston Public Works Department, we are seeking a continuance until September 20th.
Comments by the commission members? Anyone in the audience? Hearing none, get a motion.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC2 on the agenda, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
Second.
All in. Motion passes. Third public hearing continued. On a joint petition of DJ Properties LLC and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the approval of line and grade of a new public way in South Boston known as Alger Street, from Dorchester Avenue to a point approximately 725 feet in the southeasterly direction at the proposed Chippewa Way, located generally between Damrell Street and Middle Street. New business on June 21st, public hearing was held on July 12th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, line and grade approval, Alger Street, Public Way, Washington Village, South Boston, 5 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt of Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC and the City of Boston Public Works, we are seeking a continuance until September 20th.
Comments by commission members? Anyone in the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC3 on the agenda as read into the record by the chair.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Amy, did I say this is continued for 6 weeks? Okay. Fourth item on the agenda, on a petition by DJ Properties LLC for the approval of line and grade of a new public way in South Boston known as Chippewa Way from Damrell Street to Alger Street, located generally between Old Colony Avenue and US Street. New business on June 21st, public hearing July 12th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, line and grade approval, Chippewa Way, Public Way, Washington Village, South Boston, 4 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC, we are seeking a continuance for 6 weeks until September 20th.
Comments by commission members? Comments by audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing for 6 weeks through September 20th.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC4 on the agenda for 6 weeks as read into the record by the chair.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Fifth public hearing continued on a petition by DJ Properties LLC for the layout approval of an extension of US Street private way open to public travel in South Boston from Damrell Street to the proposed Alger Street. New business on June 21st, public hearing on July 12th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division layout approval, US Street, Washington Village, private way, open to public travel, South Boston, 2 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC, we are seeking a continuance for 6 weeks until September 20th.
Comments by commission members? Anyone in the audience? Like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing for 6 weeks to July 20th.
I'll make a
I'm sorry,
motion.
September.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC5 on the agenda for 6 weeks as read into the record by the chair.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Public hearing number 7 on a petition by DJ Properties LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway, sidewalks, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street lighting, infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, bike racks, street trees, landscaping, irrigation infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. New business on June 21st, public hearing on July 12th. Damrell Street on its southwesterly side between Old Colony Avenue and US Street. Old Colony Avenue on its westerly side between Damrell Street and Dorchester Street. Dorchester Street on its northwesterly side southwest of Old Colony Avenue. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plans, Damrell Street, Old Colony Ave, Dorchester Street, Washington Village, Public Way, South Boston, 5 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC, we are seeking a continuance until September 20th. We are seeking a continuance until September 20th.
Can I hear comments by the commission members? Anyone in the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing number 7 to September 20th of this year.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC7 on the agenda for 6 weeks.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Going back to public hearing number 6. On a petition by DJ Properties Limited Liability Company for the acceptance of a pedestrian easements adjacent to the following public ways in South Boston. New business June 21st, public hearing July 12th. Old Colony Ave on its westerly side between Damrell Street and Dorchester Street. Dorchester Street on its northwesterly side, southwest of Old Colony Ave, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Old Colony Ave, Dorchester Street, Public Way, Washington Village, South Boston, 2 sheets dated June 2018.
Good morning, John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. On behalf of DJ Properties LLC, we are seeking a continuance until September 20th.
Any comments by the commission? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion to continue this public hearing number 6 to September 20th.
I'll make a motion to continue item PHC 6 on the agenda as read to the record by the chair for 6 weeks.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now we go to the segment of our hearings under the public hearing segment. First hearing under public hearings. On a joint petition by a Better City and Sammy Carlos Delicatessen and Catering for the granting of a sidewalk cafe license for a seasonal outdoor seating within Bennington Street, East Boston, on its southeasterly side at address number 567, located northeast of Moore Street, and consisting of seating for 12 persons and approximately 210 square feet within the public way. This was heard under new business on July 26, 2018, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Public Sidewalk Cafe License Plan, Carlos Market, 567 Bennington Street, East Boston, 1 sheet dated July 2018.
Hi, good morning. My name is Irene Figueroa Ortiz. I am Assistant Planning Director at A Better City, and I'm here to present this public outdoor seating for East Boston. And this is one of 2 projects that we're sponsoring in the community. These are being paid through our placemaking program called Wicked Streets, and the intention of this program is to introduce innovative models of repurposing underused sidewalks, and also to catalyze different community processes. East Boston is one of the neighborhoods with the highest concentration of restaurants, but also the lowest numbers of sidewalk cafes. And these specific projects that we're presenting today will be outdoor cafes that will be open to the public, but be managed and operated by private entities. Yeah.
Could you please introduce your co-petitioner?
Yes, so with me here is Stephen Sharon. He is the owner of Sammy Carlos Deli.
I'll describe the plan to you. It consists of 6 tables with 12 seats, 2 of which are accessible with 2 umbrellas, and it's defined by pantry boxes. The overall sidewalk width is over 20 feet, and we are still providing 12.2 feet of clearance to the building face and 10.3 feet of clearance to the overhead canopy. That's essentially it.
Hi. So this is the same layout, like the same configuration. It's a public outdoor cafe that's going to be maintained by Meridian Food Market. The owner got stuck in the blue line, and it was currently shut down, so he wasn't able to make it. He's trying to get here. And the difference of this one is that the sidewalk cafe is across the street from the business, so this is, it's a different, I guess, challenges in terms of like how it will be maintained, but it's just an interesting project because there's this beautiful corner plaza there that's being totally underused, and we think that there's an opportunity for it to serve as a public amenity that adds to the public life and also to the businesses around it.
So this configuration consists of 4 tables with umbrellas. But the sidewalk clearances are being maintained. We have 6.1 foot clearance on Meridian. We have 6.6 feet of clearance, 1 pinch point at 5 feet of the light pole. But other than that, we have 6.5 feet of clearance along Meridian. And again, it's similar in nature as to the application that was previously before you.
Any questions by commission members?
I also like to note that the signs will be modified to reflect what the city is requesting.
So Boston Water and Sewer has sewer separation work planned for this area. We'll be coming right down London Street, turning combined sewers into dedicated sanitary and dedicated stormwater. Project will bid this year. Construction will continue into next year. We're coming right down London Street. We don't anticipate physical displacement of the park. However, you will have to deal with heavy construction for an extended amount of time. Coordinate that directly with us if need be.
Any further comments by commission members? Staff comments? Any person in the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion on public hearing number 2.
I'll make a motion on a joint petition by A Better City and Meridian Food Market for the granting of a sidewalk cafe in Meridian Street, as read into the record by the chair, and is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Public Sidewalk Cafe License Plan, Meridian Food Market, 121 Meridian Street, East Boston, one sheet dated July 2018.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Third item on the agenda under public hearings on a petition by OH NBH Owner LLC and Massachusetts Port Authority for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side at address 450 between D Street and World Trade Center Avenue, and consisting of curb realignment, roadway, sidewalk, and pedestrian ramp reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street trees, street lighting infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, bike infrastructure, landscaping, and driveway curb cuts. This was heard under new business on July 26th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, 450 Summer Street, Boston, 3 sheets dated August 2018.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rebecca Lee. I'm an attorney with Mintz Levin, and we represent the developer here, OH NBH Owner LLC, which is a joint venture of the Davis Companies and the Omni Hotels Corporation. This is a 1,055-room hotel that is now under construction at a site on Summer Street between D Street and World Trade Center on the north side of the street, catty corner from the Convention Center. To my left is Dante Angelucci, who's Executive Vice President of the TDC Development Group, and John Schmid, the project civil engineer. I'll let Dante speak more about the project and status, and also about these specific repairs.
Good morning. It's probably worth noting we actually closed on our financing. We have our contractor out on the site. They're actually doing some supportive excavation work. The city had articulated a position regarding some concerns regarding the street dimensions and uses within that dimension as far as the public way. We worked closely with Ms. Cording, Mr. Osgood, and the BPDA, with John Graley. We met a couple of times to go through the dimensions, and the city had requested that we reevaluate that and reconfigure it. We went back and worked with our team, and I think we've now provided the dimensions that the city requested. So I think we've done everything we possibly can in terms of accommodating that, and I believe that Ms. Cording can tell you her perspective on it, but I think we're in a position where we've done everything we can, and we're submitting the current plan for approval.
Great.
Thank you.
This is the public hearing. You can give an overview, not an overview, specifics of the specific repair plan.
I brought this presentation plan, it's just easier to read. You have the actual plans in front of you. But we are providing an 8.5-foot sidewalk in front of the building, and then if this area becomes 12 feet, where we're reserving some space, we hope for a future cafe. We'll come back and permit that when the time is appropriate. We are providing a 5-foot wide bike lane through the site, in front of the site, that's separated by curb for a majority of the way, and then here at the intersection transitions down into the intersection. We are providing the lane width that was a bit of discussion. So we have 2 12-foot lanes and a 10-foot turning lane, as discussed and agreed to by all parties. As far as improvements go, we have street trees, we have new street lights, we have impervious pavers. Where it's compliant with complete street guidelines as we can be while maintaining other functions.
Can I revisit comments we just made about supportive excavation happening now? John, could you confirm with me Or could you walk us through the timeline for relocation of the water main? Has that begun? When does that happen?
So a lot has happened since we went through the support of excavation in February, and we have an approved water line design that Mr. Sullivan signed off on.
Yep.
But for the short term, I believe that water line, the existing water line has been shut off at its limits.
Okay.
It's out of service. And actually, the new water line is going to go through a corner of the building here, within the building itself, and then come out into the street.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so that
when,
water
when does
line-
that happen?
Can you speak to that?
I think, you know, I'll be honest with you, the contractor is working on the schedule with the site contractor at this point, and I'd like to actually get back to you. At this point in time, I don't know the exact timing of it, but I know that they said they've done the they cut offs on both ends, shut off the valves, and actually one of the valves was leaking, they capped that off, but I don't know the specific timing.
And I don't recall, but we did provide John a timeline.
Yeah, it was in the.
So I'll dig that out and forward it to you.
Well, my concern is that I am responsible for maintaining and protecting the integrity of our assets in the road. So I'm the guy that puts on the requirements for vibration monitoring where appropriate, pre and post CCTV inspection.
Yep.
I believe, if I remember correctly on the previous application, we did not require CCTV because there were no gravity pipes that were vulnerable because of this supportive excavation. Am I remembering that correctly?
That's correct.
But originally, we required vibration monitoring.
There is vibration monitoring set up at the site, I believe. They've already put those in, but we'll get you the plans in terms of where they're located so you can make sure that you're
Well,
comfortable.
what I
with it.
need is I need the weekly results, so you just
Sure.
email me those weekly
Oh,
results.
that's
It's
fine.
not
Okay.
as critical if the water main is shut off, because the
Yeah.
intent is to protect that water main. It's
Yeah,
off,
yeah, the
and
wa-
it's
yeah.
gonna get ripped out of the
Right,
ground.
yeah, the water main is off. They have installed them, and we actually went with a system that actually provides us with immediate information. So it's not a system where it has to go out in red. It actually provides us with updates, so we'll get you folks lined up with
Yeah,
that.
so
and
you
get
email me those results and we track them. So we have a whole tracking system set up for pre and post inspection, vibration monitoring on a weekly basis.
We actually haven't started any of the beam and lagging work yet. They just did some benching of the site at this point, so that's what, when they started the SFV, that's essentially what they're doing, but they haven't actually vibrated any of the beams in or anything
All
like
right,
that at
just
this
make
point.
sure we
We'll-
follow
we'll
through
get
on that requirement, because that was,
Absolutely.
even though we sort of changed the plan, it was still a
Yeah.
previous requirement.
Absolutely, we'll absolutely get you that.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Any further comments by Commission members? Ms. According to the best of your knowledge, and we appreciate your assistance in bringing the city agencies with the petitioner to a consensus so that these plans reflect. But my point is, to the best of your knowledge, these plans do reflect the consensus. Any further comments by city staff members? Any comments by anyone in the audience related to this item? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion regarding this hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by OHNBH Owner LLC and Massachusetts Port Authority for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street, as read into the record by the chair. And a show no set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan, 450 Summer Street, Boston, 3 shades dated August 2018. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next public hearing, number 4, on a joint petition by OHNBH Owner LLC and the Massachusetts Port Authority for the granting of a project license for the installation of 3 canopies over portions of the sidewalk within Summer Street, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side at address 450 between D Street and World Trade Center, new business on July 26th. As shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division License Plan, Summer Street, South Boston, 2 sheets dated May 24, 2018.
Commissioners, Rebecca Lee from Mintz Levin. To my left is Dante Angelucci from the TDC Development Group and John Schmidt, the project civil engineer. This is a petition for 3 canopies, the first being the main hotel canopy and the other being canopies for anticipated retail restaurant tenants. I'll let Dante speak to that.
Good morning. So the hotel, as you've already described, is between World Trade Center Ave and D Street. The canopies we're requesting are along Summer Street for both the hotel entrance and for retail uses along the front edge of that street, as well as we have entrances wrapping the site, which are not in the public way. They're in the Massport roadways around the corner. But essentially, we're looking for permission for these 3 canopies along the front of the building for our retail uses in the hotel.
John, is there any person from the Port Authority that is here.
Yes.
So if you could be ever so kind and introduce yourself and state your name for the record.
Roger Sinclair, Massport Real Estate Department.
Thank you so much. John?
So the first canopy is near the intersection of World Trade Center. It's 13 feet above the sidewalk. It's 780 square feet, and it projects 6.1 feet into the public way. The sidewalk in this area is about 18 feet to the curb line, 15 to 18 feet to the curb line, so we're less than that 2/3 projection. The second canopy is the large canopy at the main entrance to the building. It too is 13.5 feet above the sidewalk, consisting of 1,864 square feet. This projects 7.6 feet into the public way, and it's about 21 feet from the curb line. From property to curb line is 21 feet, so we're less than the 2/3 projection, we're about a 1/3 projection. Third canopy down to this end is 17.5 feet above the sidewalk, so it's the highest of them all. It's 336 square feet. This projects about 5.5 feet into the public way, and the building to curb line in this area is also about approximately 20 feet, so we're about a third of the clearances. They will be internally drained and heat traced. And just so you know, the plans were revised this week. This plan will be revised to show the final curb configuration. This plan was drawn a couple weeks ago. So the mileage will reflect the final approved condition.
Comments by commission members? Staff? Any comments by member of the audience? Hearing none. I'd like to entertain a motion for this public hearing number 4 today.
Make a motion to approve the joint petition by OHMBH, owner LLC, and the Massachusetts Port Authority for the granting of a projection license for the installation of 3 canopies over portions of the sidewalk, as read into the record by the chair and as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, License Plan, Summer Street, South Boston, 2 sheets, dated May 24, 2018.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
That's in-
Next item on the agenda, public hearing number 5, on a petition by 58 to 76 Stoneley Road Limited LLC for the making of specific repairs within Stoneley Road, West Roxbury, located on both sides and generally southwest of Brookley Road, and consisting of new curb, sidewalks, pedestrian ramps, and driveway curb cuts. This was heard under new business on July 26th, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plan 58 to 76 Stoneley Road, Jamaica Plain. One sheet dated June 19, 2018. Sir.
Good morning. Brian Austin, owner.
Jennifer Schultz, Permitting Counsel, Goodwin Proctor.
Jim White, civil engineer from H.W. Moore Associates. The proposed project is located at 76 Stoneley Road. It's in the Forest Hill section of Jamaica Plain, just across from the MBTA bus service yard. The proposed improvements will include approximately 140 feet of new cement concrete sidewalk with granite curb in front of the proposed residential building. And on the opposite side of the street, it'll be about approximately 120 feet of new granite curb and a bituminous walk. Presently, there's no walks in front of the building or on the opposite side of the building. The walk on the opposite side of the building will connect to an existing walk, which leads toward the Forest Hills MBTA station.
Since this is the public hearing, could you just add a few more words to the context of the specific repairs in terms of your project, if you can?
Sure.
Detail a little bit more about the project.
Sure. Presently, the road is not improved in front of the site. There's no granite curbing, no sidewalks on either side of the roadway. The proposed project will include the installation of approximately 140 feet of new concrete sidewalk and granite curb in front of the proposed 76 Stoneley Road project. On the opposite side of the street, there'll be 120 feet of new granite curb and bituminous walk connecting to the existing walk on the westerly side of the road. There'll be a crosswalk proposed going across Stoneley Road near the front entrance of the proposed building. So there's 2 sidewalks to be connected and provide pedestrian access toward the MBTA station.
Questions by commission members?
So I saw you in my office today, so you dropped off the construction manager.
did, sir.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Any other?
Yes, have you consulted the fire department?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you consulted the fire department about the location of the turnaround?
Yes,
Yeah.
fire department has agreed to it.
It's a recorded easement.
Staff recommendation. Staff's fine. Any comments by any member of the audience?
I have a comment.
Sorry.
This is the project, maybe this is the one where I think the drain or the combined sewer will end up now being underneath the sidewalk because there was no improvement. And I think I emailed a comment that said that in the LMI for this, we'll just need that same language. It says if there was any reason we needed to get to that pipe to rehab or replace it, that the proponent would be responsible for the restoration of the surface, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
we're agreeable to that.
Great. So yeah, if we can include that language in the LMI, then we are all set. Thank you. Took me a while to remember that.
It's been a while.
At this point, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve petition by 58 and 76 Stoneley Road LLC for the making of specific repairs within Stoneley Road as read into the record by the chair, and as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, 58 through 76 Stoneley Road, Jamaica Plain, one sheet dated June 19th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last item on the public hearing segment of our meeting this morning, number 6, on a petition by Brighton Main Streets for the making of specific repairs within the intersection of Washington Street and Market Street, Brighton, consisting of a new digital wayfinding community information kiosk. This was heard under new business on July 26th of this year, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division Specific Repair Plans, Washington Street and Market Street, Brighton, 4 sheets dated August 8, 2018.
Good morning. My name's Elizabeth Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of Brighton Main Streets. I'm here with my board president, Chris Parisi, and our designer, Kevin Parker. Does everyone have the latest copy of the plans? We have extra copies to pass out if needed.
The 11 by 17s are the updated design, and the full size are the previous design. This details are the same.
Kiosks on the old plan, locations on the.
So again, as we said in the last meeting, this is a community information and wayfinding kiosk that shows transit, local amenities, local businesses all get equal space and information. It will list events that are free and open to the public, and the content will be managed and curated by our organization.
Again, just for the record and for clarity purposes, the way the plans have changed since your new business hearing is the location of the kiosk has moved from. Can you finish that sentence for me?
Sure. The location of the kiosk has moved from the traffic island onto the sidewalk on Washington Street in front of the Rockland Trust branch.
No, I think we had a very productive meeting, and I thought the outcome was great for both sides. And this is a great project, something that the Transportation Department is proud to support the great work of the community, so thank you for the work.
Any other questions by commission members? Staff? Any comments by a member of the audience? Hearing none, I'd like to hear a motion regarding public hearing number 6.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Brighton Main Streets for the making of specific repairs within the intersection of Washington and Market Street, as shown in the set of plans, and as shown in the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Washington Street, at Market Street, Brighton, 4 sheets dated August 8th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That concludes the public hearing segment of today's hearings. Now we move on to the new business section. First item on the agenda under the new business, 35 Lomancy Way, Thoreau Park, Boston Proper Earth Retention System on a petition by Equity Residential.
So, good morning. Chris Sodney with Niche Engineering, here with Kevin Stickler from Sanborn Head. We've got Marshall Felix representing Equity Residential, the owner.
Please feel free to sit down. Thank you so much.
So, the project site, we've actually been here about a year ago for supportive excavation on October 5th, 2017. We got approved for this. We've made some revisions since then, and we're back to get those revisions approved. So the project is the new West End Tower. It's at the site of the old Garden Garage, across the street from the Tip O'Neill building. We've got Lemasley Way on the north side and Thoreau Path on the south side, both public ways. And we're here to ask for supportive excavation, which is going to extend underneath both of those public ways. The project itself is a new residential tower with a 5-story below-grade parking garage. So I'm going to turn it over to Kevin to talk specifics.
All right, thank you. So, just to start off, I want to kind of point out what's different. And so the only thing that's different on these plans, all the tiebacks and all of that are all the same. None of that changed. The only thing that's different is based on how we have to construct the slurry wall, we are putting in temporary SOE, supportive excavation along Lemasley Way, which will be in the public right-of-way. That's going to consist of a soldier pylon lagging wall. It's a cantilevered wall. And so we have 2 sections that we show where those are and the utilities that are going to be installed along there. So on the second sheet, there will be first pre-trenching for the slurry wall to install. That removes any obstructions. Also kind of observe where any potential utilities are. We will then install the piles for the soldier pylon lagging, install the slurry wall. After the slurry wall is installed, actually the top of the slurry wall is down 7 or 8 feet below grade because of the type of construction we're doing. That's what the temporary soldier pylon lagging is for, is to be able to excavate, construct the cap beam, and then once that's constructed, this area will be backfilled. We'll cut the soldier pylon lagging off 6 feet below grade, and this area will be backfilled. There also will be, during that construction of the slurry wall, we do have 2 temporary guide walls for the construction of the slurry wall. They're about 4 feet deep from existing grade. They'll be removed in entirety as part of the excavation to get down to the top of the slurry wall. So that's kind of the overall of the SOE. And again, that's the only thing that's new is the soldier pylon lagging portion of it.
I have a lot to say. So the nature of the tiebacks and most of the supportive excavation hasn't changed since October of 17. In October of 17, I gave the requirements for pre and post inspection CCTV of gravity mains and vibration monitoring. Where do we stand on the pre-inspection?
Pre-inspection will be done next week, so we'll send that to you when it's complete.
Okay, so I want to make perfectly clear that if you start digging in the ground before you've submitted the tapes and had EWSC review, and then we get back to you with a comment letter, if you start construction before all of that happens, you will be on the hook for any defects that are found in any of those sewers or drains. Is that clear? So you must get the information to us and hear back from us before you start construction. We've had since October of last year to do this, and it's happening next week. This will be a continued theme of mine for any project in this city that is digging down. Everyone will hear this from me. We continue to find concrete and slurry in our sewers. We just found a sewer segment on Harrison Avenue in front of Quinzani's Bakery that is completely full of slurry. So I am very serious about the matter. Thank you.
This project has started construction, but this is the demolition phase, correct? You haven't been doing any digging outside of that?
The garage is currently being demoed, yes.
So my comments are related to excavation below grade and supportive excavation. It's the tiebacks that do the damage.
Reflecting Commissioner Nelson's comments, are you of the opinion that you will be in a position to do what needs to be done, secure the information, get Mr. Nelson's concurrence within 2 weeks, since you had more than 2 weeks to sort this thing out?
Yes. For the videos? Yeah. They'll be done next week, so we can send those to you.
Not done next week to get Mr. Mike to get your concurrence. You need to get him information. He needs to have time to review it. This is the month of August. And
We'll need,
2 weeks will be
Yeah, I guess
August
the question is,
23rd.
what time do you need to
we'll
review
need
it?
like 3 days to review the videos and create a memo and get back to you.
Okay, then
Three
yes,
business days.
2 weeks would be enough time.
With the clear understanding that obviously if the work is not done to Mr. Nelson's satisfaction, you will have to request a continuance of your hearings until such work is done.
Understood.
Any other comments?
So with the approved construction management plan, there's a plan in there for the foundation slurry wall construction. With this change, does any of that change?
Please
Including the pre-trench?
Please
That's
identify
not a good
yourself,
thing to
sir.
say.
If you could identify yourself.
How you doing? I'm Mario with Tishman Construction Company. I'm the superintendent on site. So there is a little bit of an impact on the Martha Road, Lamazny, is close to that traffic cabinet that we relocated. That's an impact. Everything else is within the footprint of the CMP.
So specifically what I'm getting at, control box is one thing, we can
Yeah,
relocate that
it's in a
fiber and
temporary location
twist it
right now.
back. But as far as the impact to lanes and traffic with the pre-trenching also, with the slurry wall, there's gonna be no change to that cross section, correct?
There's no change on the pre-trenching in that slug road.
Any other comments?
Yes, you're gonna be working on that corner, again, I presume by looking at the plan, you're gonna be installing, reinforcing or sheet piling on that corner of, Starrow Drive, and that'll be, it's gonna involve Saturday work again, I hope?
Some of that, yes, will be.
Okay, have you had a pre-meeting with us, with my department about this?
Not yet.
Okay, I'd like, why don't you shoot me an email?
Okay.
I'll get you set up with that. I want to talk about that before that starts, only because of the proximity to the intersection and the traffic. What I will say, on the takedown portion of it, I was very happy with the level of detail and concern that was taken with that, and the attention that was given to it, so I would urge you to continue to have that level of concentration on that. I do appreciate the work that was done in particular. I think it was 2 Saturdays. That's the level of intensity I'd like to see maintained on that, just for the public safety purposes.
We appreciate your service. Any other comments? Stop.
Okay.
Hearing none, and schedule a public hearing for 2 weeks on August 23rd.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda, under new business, 174 Ipswich Street, Boston proper. Highway discontinuance, vertical discontinuances, specific repairs, earth retention license on a set of joint petitions by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department and Boston Public Schools.
Good morning. Jim McQueen, Senior Project Manager with the City of Boston Public Facilities Department.
Good to see you.
Joseph Brown from Perkins Eastman Architects.
Good morning, I'm Deborah Danick with Niche Engineering, Project Manager and Civil Engineer. We're also joined by, behind me, Guy Busa from HSH, the Traffic Engineer, and Catherine Pendleton from Public Facilities Department Legal Team.
Is there anyone from the schools department by any chance?
No.
We do not have
They've been
representatives.
at all of our-
It's a joint petition, basically. Go ahead.
Thank you. We're very excited to present to you 174 Ipswich Street, more commonly known as the Boston Arts Academy building. It's located right across the street from Fenway. When you look at the C shape of Ipswich Street, it's the western end of Ipswich Street. What we're proposing is the existing school doesn't quite meet the high schoolers' needs, so it's going to be demolished in place, the 4-story building, and replaced with a brand-new 5-story building. When you look at the building, I'll put up first our discontinuance requests. just for discussions now, I'll say north is the top of the page, but Plan View North, the building's wrapped around by Ipswich Street. The east side of the site has a private, not even a private alley, it's just a portion of the site that's used kind of for access on the east side. And the back of the site is a shared private alley with the abutting properties. The proposed, the existing building has approximately 450 students. The proposed building does not intend to significantly increase student membership, but it will better serve their needs. The east side of the building will have a brand-new auditorium that can be used by the students and then can be closed off for after-school and weekend events for non-students to attend. The rest of the building will provide better lab space and as well as spaces for the students. So in order to fit this building on kind of the weirdly shaped site, we're proposing to do a couple underground vertical discontinuances as well as a highway discontinuance with the parcel. The existing building, first floor, basically abuts the property line. Looking at record plans, we noticed that the existing building footings were located over the property line. So part of our highway discontinuance request is to clean up the old footings, which at this point may remain in place, as well as allow for us to put in new footings for the building so that the building can be located as close to the property line as possible. The other thing that will be located within the highway discontinuance, at the main entrance on the west side, located right here, in order to get up to the building elevation, we're proposing a couple of stairs, and we're calling it a ramp, but it really will be less than 5% walkway for the students and staff to get into the building. So we've encapsulated that area, basically a surface grade improvements that are required to get into the building within this highway easement. The other thing that is located in this, highway discontinuance. The other thing that's located within the highway discontinuance area are some above grade discontinuances that include the second story and above of the building of spaces that that will occupy. So we discussed with staff the fact that we had these three basically vertical locations of discontinuance area that we needed, and it was advised that capturing this all in one highway discontinuance, the most that we could would make sense for this site to kind of clean it up. We do, even with that encapsulation, and the other thing that we needed to keep in mind was allowing enough width for public way walk on the sidewalk, and I'll talk through our proposed improvements for that on the next plan. But the other thing, in order to provide basically an 8-foot clear cement concrete sidewalk, we kept the highway discontinuance as tight to the building as possible, which left us with 2 areas of vertical discontinuance needed for basically the second story and above of the building of occupiable space.
A couple of questions. It is possible that some of our older schools in our city may not have ADA compatible ramps to enter the school. Will this school be reconstructed so that it is fully ADA compatible, so that a student in a wheelchair can access through the main door into the building?
Yes, the building will be fully accessible.
Thank you so much. Second question. So you are asking for surface discontinuances on Ipswich Street.
Yes.
Today the sidewalks are what width, and by the time you are through with the sidewalks discontinuance minus any utility strips which you may have, what is the remaining sidewalk width, effective sidewalk width at the pinch point, the worst pinch point?
So for our proposed sidewalk width of cement concrete sidewalk is 8 feet wide. We also have a 4-foot wide landscaped and paver strip.
In addition to the clear 8-foot?
In addition to the clear. So the minimum clear is 12 feet wide.
Yeah, first of all, I congratulate you guys on the project. When I first saw this plan, I got very excited. I think this is a strip of roadway that is going to benefit greatly from this project. I thank you for including additional bike facilities. As I've lamented before, there are just inadequate bike facilities on this portion behind Fenway Park. So those are wonderful additions. I have questions, obviously, on the supportive excavation. Could you just walk me through the depth of the piles that you'll be driving?
embarrassed to say, I'm sorry, I don't know that number off the top of my head. There's an existing basement for a portion of the building that the soldier piles will need to go down deeper than that, and I'm not sure that excavation
No
depth.
tiebacks?
There are no tiebacks,
It's just a soldier pile wall, vertical support.
and the lagging will happen inside.
So before the public hearing, can you coordinate with me on what those depths are and what the
Absolutely.
requirements will be? Well, it looks to me like there is a 20-inch gas main that is closer to the project area than where our water main is. The water main's on the other side of the street, but we do have what appears to be an old 30 by 36, probably combined sewer. So let's coordinate on what those requirements are gonna be to make sure that that sewer gets protected by any vibration.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll just formalize in the public hearing what the plan of action will be.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, I think as we get into the discussion of the specific repairs, just speaking about gas main, you'll notice that there's like a 6-inch gas main running under the sidewalk. We're bumping out the sidewalk curb. Our proposed trees will be over that gas main. National Grid has already coordinated with us that they're going to replace that line and get it out of our way as part of just their general improvements they're doing in the area.
Can you walk us through the specific repairs? Absolutely.
So getting back to kind of a bigger picture discussion about the roadway, the existing Ipswich Street right-of-way is, I'm sorry, it's 80 feet wide? Yes, excuse me, it's 80 feet wide. Right now, the paved curb to curb is about 54 feet wide of pavement. There's a parking lane on each side, you know, with intermittent parking. Obviously are subject to further discussion of what we're thinking for this pavement section of the roadway. So we've proposed to bump out, so when we talked earlier about the widened sidewalk, the sidewalk curbs approximately 7 feet in front of the building, which would allow us to have the curb, a 4-foot wide permeable paver and landscape strip, a minimum 8-foot wide cement concrete walk, which ends up being a lot wider when you get closer to the building. And then it allows us for that highway discontinuance we requested in order to kind of get the stairs up into the building and the accessible walkway for people. When we start south and work north, we've been talking to the planning department about, on our side of the street, having basically an 8-foot wide drop-off lane so that drop-off process can happen with buses and parents for the students, two 11-foot, and then a 5-foot bike lane, two 11-foot drive lanes, another 5-foot bike lane, and then maintaining the parking on the other side of the street with a 7-foot wide parking width. The other thing that we're proposing are some bump outs at the rounded corner of Ipswich Street. Currently, there's only one accessible crosswalk kind of at the middle of this corner, and then the crosswalks diagonally out to the north side of Ipswich Street on both sides of Van Ness Way. Those crosswalks actually currently are about 80 and 70 feet long. So we're proposing with the bump out and the separation of those ramps to really significantly reduce the crossing length for pedestrians closer to about 40 feet. The other things you'll see in our proposed sidewalk section, new street lights. There's currently a couple old fixtures. We're talking to the street lighting division about getting some newer fixtures in there that work better for the site, as well as the street trees I talked about. We're proposing to put in irrigation, which the school would maintain the improvements within this sidewalk, and they're ready to do that. The other thing that came up in talking to staff on the north side, you'll notice that we're proposing a bump out basically on right in front of Fenway Park. So the Public Facilities Department has been working closely with Fenway to make sure that we're meeting their needs, as well as there are some specialty bollards that Fenway Park has installed. So we're working with them to make sure that those same bollards get reinstalled and shifted as needed for our proposed changes.
Where's the bump out? Yeah, where's that bump out?
The new bump out? Right here.
Oh, that's not reflected on this plan.
Oh, so, sorry, if you have the specific repairs plan, that's the...
Oh, this is the discontinuance one.
Yeah.
Deborah,
Yes.
again, I cannot underscore the importance of the two integrating divisions within the two departments to concur on these curb modifications.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, understood.
Just add to that, you made mention about the drop-off pickup.
Yes.
There's also a Boston Public School Transportation Coordinator that basically looks at that with a member of my team. what the needs are for the school. Has that taken place?
Yes, it has.
It has?
Yes.
Perfect. So Peter Crossan, Julio Chow, have
Yes.
reviewed it and are good with it. That's
Exactly.
good to hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially because this is a city effort, just help the right people to be in a room. Because there is some additional real estate on the roadway over here, but when we pinch it down, the fact that there's the Fenway all park, it all needs to make sense so that all of us are changing in a complementary manner.
Absolutely.
Is there going to be on-site parking in the new building?
There's no on-site parking in the new building.
And the headmaster knows that, correct?
Yes.
And where do the teachers park?
Currently, most of them are either taking public transportation or...
The two people who don't take the public transportation?
Yeah. There are several different parking lots in the area that they negotiate with. They have reduced rates. They usually have to avoid Fenway days and...
So I think the point I'm trying to make in a subtle way is, right now you've got enough real estate. I'm not sure whether you know how many of the on-street parking spots are used by the teachers. Okay, so when you have reduced weight, they are going to go somewhere else or park on the street, so there can be a domino effect. So
I'm sure you're well aware of the history of that.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Are there any handicap parking spaces nearby?
There are, and we're maintaining them on the street as both sides of the street.
But they're not dedicated to the school?
No.
No.
they cannot be dedicated to this
Yeah, so-
on-street parking.
Yeah, so there are existing accessible parking spaces on our side of the street, and we're proposing to flip them to the other side of the street.
Okay, please make sure that all the key members, Shannon, those get this wonderful part.
So I guess the construction management plan, Lee Kennedy's the contractor, I believe. My staff has reviewed it. I think we're pretty much in the final condition of approving that whole plan. I think there's a request for a final meeting. I would like at that meeting for somebody from PFD to be there, whoever's gonna be the, super on that job. So they, they're in the loop on that. So I think that meeting's gonna be scheduled probably next week or the week after. Go over the construction management plan. One of the concerns that we have was 1241 Boylston, the Shell Station, which is gonna basically be under construction probably, I believe, at around, if not, right around the same time as this project. Guy, I know you are doing both CMPs, so the concern is that they're both coordinated for phasing, that we're not stepping on each other. That's another reason, to have the parties all in the room, transportation, public works, PFD, the contractor, so we're all on the same page.
You're putting trees. Just check with the parks department to find out how well trees cohabit with students
Okay.
in its formative years. Meaning we plant a tree, contractor is supposed to verify or certify that the tree will survive, and high school, this is a high school, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the age bracket may not be compatible with the tree. Just check it out. It will be very shameful if that tree should take some additional interaction with students.
We'll ask the question.
Any other comments by commission members? Any comments by a member of the audience? Hearing none. Are you okay for a public hearing on August 23rd, which is 2 weeks from today?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we'll follow up right away. Thank you.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, new business number 350 to 150 Causeway Street, Boston proper. Specific details on a petition by Podium Owners LP. Limited partnership.
LLC.
Which is
Same thing. Ready?
Please.
So I am Kevin Sheehan here with Juliana DeMombro on behalf of Boston Properties, one of the partners on the development team. The other is Delaware North Companies with Howard Mosier as well from VHB. And we're here to talk about the Hub on Causeway project. And if you would like, I can give you just a brief description of the project and the status. It is under construction. But why don't you let me know if you want me to. I can give a very short background. I think you're pretty familiar with it.
No, since we are still pretending like we don't.
Okay.
All these hearings have to be independent because that's how others request this information.
I'll keep it short, but you can see the rendering of the project over there. It's located adjacent to North Station in the TD Garden on Causeway Street. It's approximately 1.5 million square feet under development in a series of construction phases. It includes a below-grade parking garage, which is an expansion of the existing garage that's located below North Station. It includes an expansion of the TD Garden Arena, a small expansion of the arena within the project, and then a podium that includes both retail and office uses, and the users in that are largely committed. It includes a grocery store, a movie theater, restaurant, food hall, venue, and the new corporate headquarters of Rapid7, a cybersecurity company located here in Boston. And then above the podium, on the west side, which is the left side in the rendering you see before you, is the phase 2, which consists of the residential tower and a hotel that will be operated by a group called Citizen M. It's 440 residential units and 270 hotel rooms. And then on the east side, which is the right-hand side of the rendering in front of you, is the final third phase, which is an office tower that has recently been, or a large portion of that has recently been pre-leased to Verizon, which will locate its new East Coast Technology Innovation Hub at this site. So in general, the first phase that I described is under construction. We were here 2 years ago on that, and when that got underway, we are targeting October to get the TCO on the first phase, so that's coming up in the near term. The second phase is also under construction, and that will continue through next year. There will be a phased-in occupancy of the residential units in the second half of next year in the hotel. And then the third phase, the office tower phase, is not yet under construction, but our target is to get that started at the end of this year. And that will continue through
2021.
2021.
What's the height of that portion?
495 feet,
How many stories is that?
31, including the podium, so about 22.
So as Kevin mentioned, 2 years ago, the project presented before the commission received a number of approvals, and including specific repair plans. Since that time, the proponent, working with the abutters, which are the GSA, with the operators of TD Garden, and also having found out a lot about subsurface conditions, have proposed a number of small modifications to the specific repair plan. These modifications include some slight reconfiguring of the planters and the benches, and some of the street furnishing type improvements, and in addition, proposing some changes to the bollard conditions and the spacing to provide enhanced pedestrian safety. After working with the staff and some of the various city departments, it was determined that it was best to represent before the commission to encompass all these small changes, but when looked in total, amounted to something worthy of commission consideration. As we sit here today, we've made a lot of progress with all the agencies. There's a couple small items that are requiring potential small modifications. On the bollard spacing, we're working with the commission for persons with disabilities, the BPDA and PIC staff to get the spacing correct. What you see on the plan in front of you is close, but some small tweaks are required. During this latest round of comments, one that was not picked up in the first round is the request from the city to provide a convenience ramp from the center pickup drop-off area to the sidewalk area so that if anyone with a disability wants to get out of the drop-off, they could get to the sidewalk without walking into the street lanes. And this request is being worked on by the team with the Commission for Persons with Disabilities. We expect that to be resolved early next week, well and in time for a public hearing. And
So
we're working
what
on
are the
agenda.
plans you submit to Ms. Cording
Yeah, on
by
my
Thursday of?
We're committed to having that resolved prior to next Friday so that when we come to the public hearing, it's been reviewed and vetted.
Howard, if I may interrupt you, and I had the curb lines that were approved by prior PIC boards, are any of those changing on the property side?
No, this project is intended to complete the Connect Historic Boston. So no changes to the curb line.
Kevin, so good to see you. And the Connect Historic Boston project is winding down or wound down. That's history. Really excited, and we've been eagerly waiting for completion of this project. Kevin, just trying to ask this thing in the gentlest way as I can. All that needs to be done, that is not done, has to be done by you. Okay? And it's not a lot, because we like this grand entrance to Canal Street. I mean, all of this needs to make sense. So hopefully the plans will not continue to show anymore to be done by others or whatever. If something is not done, Kevin, need your help to pull it off, because we were in a concrete situation.
Yep. No, we completely understand and agree. And we've been working with Bill Conroy on that, just to make sure there's some traffic equipment that was purchased that will be transferred so that we're using, that to install that on this side of the street. And we understand exactly what needs to be completed. Our sidewalk hasn't changed. And the other thing that we need to do is the north median on Causeway Street along the front of the project.
Including any pavement markings to signify the prominence of this area.
Yep.
Whatever the collective city, that is Public Works, Transportation, ABCD, EFG, all parties.
Yep.
Because this is a very nodal location, and you are it.
Yep. And it will be phased with, so there's 3 sections. There's the Portland to Friend, the Friend to Canal, and the Canal to Haverhill. 2 of the sections will be completed this year, this fall. So that would be Friend to Canal and Canal to Haverhill. The 3rd section, which is the westernmost section between Portland and Friend, will be complete next year when the phase 2 that I described, the residential and the hotel construction, are complete. But between now and then, that will be used for access so that there's no real construction staging on the Causeway Street, where we have, and the new entrance into North Station will be open at the end of this year. So that will be kind of free and clear of all construction activity, and the construction will be happening on the west side for the residential phase 2, and starting up at the end of this year or the beginning of next year on the east side for the office tower phase, but not interrupt the flow of passengers and patrons in and out of the North Station and the TD Garden.
And all the details concerning the project constructing parts of the Connect Historic Boston that were not constructed originally are detailed in the TAPA with the phasing. So strong exhibits have been included.
Again on this, right? The TAPA document is something I may not have access to.
So I work with staff to make sure the notes are appropriately added.
And to that extent, Bill's, I know, has been working on it, but Katie Cho and, her team need to be involved in that too, because of, and in agreement with what's being proposed.
We've met with them a number of times just to make sure everyone has not missed something. So.
It's one of the coolest projects that are happening. We are holding our breath, but that Canal Street, that main crosswalk, that whole area, I would take a look at it from the perspective that all that is to be done by the city is done, meaning gone.
I'm confident the team's done that, and we can work with staff to make sure it's documented.
You're the person I get to chat today, and you're the person we will get to chat 2 weeks from now, please take a look at it and make sure that you are not compromising the greatness of what this gentleman's doing over here.
Thank you.
Because we don't want to lose a single person. Okay? There's going to be a lot of pedestrians that are crossing. They may have a different perspective, and so maybe make sure that it is properly done. I'm not trying to overly overstate things. In terms of the crosswalks, this gigantic.
Could you just describe that? What's going on?
Yep. So as was coordinated with Connect Historic Boston and as was presented to the Public Improvement Commission 2 years ago, given the strength of the pedestrian volume and the importance of connecting Canal directly into the MBTA North Station, with the construction of Champions Row, the city and the proponents worked out together a concept that would more visibly identify the importance of that crossing through enhanced pavement markings.
Perfect.
And as the city has constructed their portions of the project, they did what could be constructed ahead of any improvements on the north side. And so when the proponent comes back, there'll be a street print. That design of the street print is still going to have some design review, but in theory, the specialty pavements have already been considered. The street printing, the thermoplastic imprinting, the street print, has been approved previously. And that will create a highlighted visibility to the strength of that crossing to both drivers and pedestrians.
And who is the entity that is going to install that print is?
This project will install that.
It is
And it's not a raised crossing,
Not raised,
correct?
no.
And hopefully we have all pedestrians friendly, meaning only pedestrians get to go and then they're coming through like cattle.
It's in part the importance of that crossing that we have re-examined the bollard space to provide safety there.
And that's unsignalized?
That is signalized.
There's a pedestrian signal there?
It's got pedestrian push buttons. It's connected with a signal to the
So it's
east.
tied into legends?
It's all tied in. Yeah. So there's a mast arm and signal equipment there to control the canal, which will be a right out only movement.
So throughout the city, sometimes the location of the pedestrian walk light may not be the most sensible place if you are from a pedestrian perspective. There are too many examples which I don't want to put over here. So again, Howard, take a look at it from the placement of the walk light. There you're just going to have funnels of people.
Yep. So that was well developed 2 years ago, and those dialogues have continued as recently as how the Connect Boston work will be finished, working with Public Works and BTD. So one thing you'll see in the middle of that street print, there are some mountable traffic islands that delineate the cycle track. So in here and here you'll see where there's no street print. Those were required by the Connect Historic Boston project to prevent vehicles from taking a left off of Canal. And they are sloped granite, mountable for emergency services, but those are in the middle of that street print. So those are the white areas you're seeing without any street print.
Can you just help us to get this thing right, because this is too much, very exciting project, but some things are happening there as much as at Louis Square. So we just want these two areas to be the best it can be.
When does this all take place?
Share that goal.
What's the schedule for this pedestrian crossing?
That's this fall.
That happens this fall?
Yes.
Exciting. Hockey season starts in October.
Exactly.
We're well aware. Our partners in particular are focused on opening day. So.
So I just had some conversations I've recently had with the team relative to some large numbers coming in, specifically escalators, and how to get them on site. They have to back in on Causeway. I asked them to talk to Katie about protection of the bike track facility, so just make sure that they follow through with that.
Was that, did you talk to the JMA team or the Boston Properties team?
JMA.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 weeks adequate, should just need to ask. So we'll see you on the 23rd. Schedule a hearing for that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Fourth item on the agenda, Brookline Avenue Lansdowne Street, Jersey Street, Boston proper specific repairs on a petition of Changing Environments Inc., also known as SUPA. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us again. Excited to be here. I'm Sandra Richter, CEO and founder of Changing Environments. With me, I have my colleagues Edward Krasik and Danny Schwartz. We're here today to petition for new business in Brookline Avenue, Lansdowne Street, New Jersey Street, for specific repairs to bring new form of a public bulletin board and wayfinding into the community.
Absolutely excited about what you all are doing, but sometimes I get this feeling that my 2 left hands and my 3 right hands are not chatting with each other. Let me elaborate. Do you have not a master plan, but sort of a global plan as to what you want to do in Boston? Because it is possible that there are others who are thinking about the same thing, and it will be really, really awkward for us to have the same product in 3 different formats run by 4 different entities. That would be awkward. So we are trying to appreciate what is being done, but not have a cluster backward situation. So do you have because I think the last time we spoke to you, you were, I forget where you were playing. Can you remind me where?
Yeah, for sure. So within the last petition, we actually prepared a potential master plan, which we also have here again
Did you share
today.
that with us? If so, that is my bad.
No, no problem at all.
But did you share it with us?
Yes. We had the large mass, no problem. That's why we're here today to talk about it. So we did, but also, you know, given the nature of something like a public community bulletin board, I think it requires really piloting and getting experience with the communities. And so we've been very excited about the success and the learnings we've made in the Fenway area. And actually, we've been approached from FEMA to 311 to really start integrating more and more applications. And so we have more applications that we can even test. So we're still in this pilot test phase of looking which applications are the most desirable in the communities and what really fits into the community bulletin board. So I would consider this still a measured approach in deploying a pilot. However, we did prepare a master plan based on the requests in the last hearing.
Just refresh my memory, this is a privately owned entity, though approved by the city to install. I'm going to assume, Chong, that the maintenance agreements are written in such a way that if that entity needs to be moved for city purposes, it will be moved to our timetable at your expense. Is that understood by all parties? Great. Second, these are highly priced assets to the community. So our main streets, district folks in Brighton, you just heard earlier in the day, we just authorized them to do something similar, may not be identical. This is where we want to have some sort of congruency in what's going on. So I don't know how to do this. Amy, give us guidance
So
or
we're trying to come up
put
with
someone
some
on the first base.
digital signage policies that will, I think, help this. But all this stuff is new, so this is a little bit of its introduction at this point. But yeah, no, now if Main Streets or somebody was looking for a kiosk,
Yeah, who do we call, them or the other one?
Well, we'll know once we've had some experience with them.
So my concern is that by the time we get the experience, so many of these will be authorized. It will be like our telecommunication industry, on some aspects of it where we haven't had a chance to standardize anything.
Right, so they're all SUFA except for the one that we just approved right now.
So this came up before, Greg, Commissioner Rooney's not here.
Yep.
The city has a franchise agreement right now with David Correll. How is this going to impact this? Because they're looking to do the same thing.
Yeah, so this has gone through legal, and these are within the bounds of the J.C. DeCo
And
contract.
Commissioner Rooney agrees with that?
Yes. We went through that the last one.
Okay. The second thing with this location, with Fenway, there's already 2 huge billboards out here that give public information. One at the intersection of Lansdowne and Ipswich, one at the intersection on Lansdowne at Brookline Avenue. What are we doing?
Like, I'm to Commissioner Hespert's thought patterns. Who within the city is saying, yeah, you know what, this is a great location for this product in the context of what else is there and what else might be there.
So we've been getting requests and support from organizations like Fenway Health, who have been putting content onto the bulletin board. So in terms of looking at what are we doing there, I think there is currently no real communication platform that takes those types of very like local for that like community level information and really.
There certainly are. I mean, they're doing it now. Orange Barrel is out there with 2 main billboards doing community-based advertising for their facilities and stuff like that. The House of Blues has their own information. You're putting one in front of there. I mean,
so
this is a overload of sensory signage.
I agree, and I think the Orange Barrel Media one should go down. I agree there needs to be a consistency and a plan for the city, and I think part of our pilot is to come with learnings and then help inform as other companies are helping inform those strategies.
So you use the term pilot a couple of times. What is your definition of the word pilot? How many of these do you need to install and in how many places over what period of time to define this stage of pilotness in your own words?
Yeah. For me, a pilot means that we can determine the application in not just one neighborhood, but multiple, and in particular a democratized way in various different neighborhoods of different levels of economic wealth. So one of the things that we want to do today in increasing or basically having a measured approach of bringing that pilot to Boston is looking at a neighborhood like Ashmont, which is very different than Fenway. And I think from the first one, we've been in front of this commission, and since we started the company in Boston, one of our main concerns is to bring smart city technology to the city in a very democratized way that can go into any neighborhood, and that is really centered around community information. I think we've made a lot of great progress, and we've been, as we're learning, informing the commission in terms of what type of content is asked for by the community members, what type of content is asked for from the main streets. So we're working with the main streets. So it's as you can tell, it's hard to kind of like say where does the pilot begin, where does it end. But I would say as of right now, we're still in the midst of learning around what application makes sense in those communities. Like the project with FEMA just started to say, okay, we're going to bring an API in to then actually be able to give alerts. And so because it's a solar-powered platform that is very easily to install and deinstall, I think that's what I would also consider a pilot. You can tell me tomorrow, take them out. We get our contractor, 4 bolts in the ground, route. In fact, I mean, we have, this is really us also balancing our efforts across multiple markets. So we're in Atlanta, where we also work with 311, in Las Vegas, where we're working with the Transit Authority. We've been getting here a lot of requests from the MBTA.
So, just want to make sure that my thoughts are shared with you appropriately. In your presentations, you always highlight the community bulletin boards aspect of it, but I do believe there's a private advertising component to it. So if you have this product nationwide, the type of advertisers you can attract becomes greater. So that's not, I think it will be, I don't want to keep myself thinking that this is just bulletin board serving in Boston. This might be any person's need to get a foothold in key advertising locations, and then, again, nothing wrong with it. we just have a concern about some of our public spaces being reduced on the public improvement part of it. Okay, and we in support of the private sector. Okay, so that's what we are trying to balance, because when we are looking at it in singularity, bulletin boards, very nice. Okay, but that is how someone, not you, how someone might gain access to some of the private locations. It's like, gee, how can anyone be against a bulletin board? You know, I'm going to give medical information or the next bus that comes there.
So in order to address your concerns, maybe one thing that we could offer is to bring for the hopefully next meeting a kind of like printout of all the pieces of content that we've actually like been shown, which is really amazing community content from events that are happening. So very similar into the vein, I think, what we heard earlier from the main streets in terms of, you know, publishing events that are free for the community. And I just do want to make this one point: to make, build, install, and maintain a SUFA sign, the cost is so much lower than when we're talking about very large LCD screens that require being like really wired into the urban environment, which allows us to not have that return of investment that is so high, which would mean that we can only go after Coca-Cola and like, you know, like there needs to be money to finance that infrastructure. So it's a very, like, while it looks similar, there's very different unit economics at play. So I just want to make sure that, you know, that's also understood.
Maybe after those, if they do have some sort of agreement with the city in a revenue sharing format.
Oh, that I
John, can you add any knowledge?
Yes. Chung Liu from
aspect from the city.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chung Liu, the law department. No, we haven't had a revenue to sharing agreement because this project is pilot in nature. So we give them the grant to location to answer some of your concerns. To take up the public space on the sidewalk, we have a very clear license agreement in case we need them to move. That can be addressed. We're considering all options at this point how to address this smart to city type of thing.
So typically, like if you think about a digital billboard, there is revenue sharing that goes to the EPEA that is earmarked for public realm.
Yep. But this doesn't have any right now. You are on a trial basis. No, sorry, pilot basis, my bad. Pilot basis, and your response was extremely broad in terms of understanding the totality of. That's why I asked you to put in your own words. It was extremely broad.
The current LMI does not allow for general advertising. So that is one of the reasons why we do not have a revenue share negotiated. So we, on public right-of-way within the city of Boston, on the SUFA signs, do not have general advertising.
So within that, this is it, because within that framework, right now you don't have a revenue sharing understanding, yet you are coming through a pilot process to find, you know, let's assume there are 10 prime spots in the city from an advertiser's perspective. You may secure those rights at the 10 locations. And then subsequently, when you do negotiate with the city for permanent, how does this work? At what point is the city going to recognize the fact that they may have the 10 most prime spots for purposes of putting out bulletin boards?
We have to let them advertise, which we're not.
So who is the we within the we? The licenses department or who? Which agency?
Like there's a group that's currently forming that's trying to set out some digital.
Sort this thing out?
Yes, policies. From everything from an electronic billboard to something of community bulletin board. So we're trying to get, these are all new, so we're trying to get some sort of standardization and policies in place so that we have better answers to our own questions.
Okay. So
wouldn't you think that we'd have that before we take action on something like this, though? I mean, this is very ambiguous, very broad. A lot of the locations for the transportation department are right at major crossings, major intersections. Like the discussion that we had with the previous petition, we moved them away from those traffic for distraction. I mean, we have a lot of issues with the locations you're picking, not to mention in the Fenway Park area, There's already existing infrastructure, and we're overloading it, you know, right now with this proposal. I mean, and that's the Vision Zero issue, is that we're not trying to scrap people next to transportation facilities.
So we were addressing the Vision Zero within the last hearing, and we brought studies and research that show that electronic paper actually is a solution that supports a Vision Zero, very much not like very large LCD displays.
Understood that, but where you're placing these in the plans is right at the crosswalk and the traffic signal controls.
So it's where
Except for the House of Blues ones.
but it's where pedestrians have asked us to have information about transit arrival times on pedestrian eye level.
So if
already being advertised on those other billboards.
So if you get us feedback, we can revise the locations as necessary to move away from those major crosswalks. Yeah.
You're proposing something that's already has this.
So the Orange Barrel Media sign that is showing transportation actually is in a loop. So that means most of the time that sign is showing advertising exclusively, and it is not viewable when and where the next transportation options are. On a SUFA sign, the transportation options and times are visible at all times. There's a section on the display that is always reserved for this type of information. And
What
so,
percentage of the screen?
Pardon?
What percentage of the screen?
25%.
Right, so one part of the screen, the top left, one of those corners, you are saying is dedicated for continuous translation. 75% is eligible at some point in the future for advertising. Am I misreading what you said? I don't think so, but I just want to make sure that I'm misreading. 25% will be dedicated, but 75% in a business model in 10 years from now is eligible for advertising.
Sponsored content.
Right, that's what. And we are looking at some very key intersections such as Lansdowne, Jersey Street and Brookline. I think there are a few people that go through there. So I'm not trying to, just want to balance this conversation, okay? Because in the telecommunications industry, we have issues after some time when we want people to move their stuff away, saying, oh, good Lord, we can't move it because there are 2 million customers that are dependent on the, I really don't care, okay? Because we will not continue to give you grant of locations of these assets just because it is convenient, not convenient, because it is supporting your business model.
Well, it's supporting the community, and we're putting those displays based on requests from the community for community information, for things like transit information, and to have those at every moment in time for those communities.
It's a good thing. Could you, because I didn't read all the locations which you gave us in your master, it will be very helpful at the public hearing, the very first one, since you have 3 items. The next one, next time we see you, just, you know, give the commission members an overview of here are all the locations and present the information so that it is easily digestible to us within the time frame that you have.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring the master plan with us. I do want to say though, one of the reasons why we want to do the pilot is still to figure out to make sure that locations like Ashmont actually work. Because I do think one of the biggest issues in the digital signage world is that unfortunately the city does not have the means to fund things like this. So there are creative ways of coming up with business models, as you're saying, sponsored content to cross-finance these items. However, most of those items are so expensive in nature that you would have to have so much revenue that they will never go and put these signs into Roxbury, into Ashmont, into the main streets that need them the most. I just want to make sure that when we're going and looking at, you know, extending a pilot like that we actually give a chance to those neighborhoods, which is what this petition is for.
We just want to make sure that this works for you as well as the city of all parts of our city, so that some of our underserved areas are not penalized because it is not like what we call the hot ad revenue location. Okay?
Unfortunately, you started it off with a high visibility location. It doesn't really, I mean, we're all for the lesser, you know, areas that basically are lacking this type of technology, information, stuff like that, absolutely. But this is certainly not one of those areas.
Put one in Dudley Square or Potman Square or Hyde Park or Cleary Square, wherever. Okay. So again, hopefully you understand what we are saying. We want to be extremely supportive of what you are proposing, but that journey needs to.
So just so that I have our action items for the next meeting, so you're asking us to prepare a master plan for an outlook of 10 years?
You said that you shared some information with
Yeah.
us as to your current plans for this area. Since I didn't read it, I don't know whether it was a map or a list of locations.
You mean for this petition in particular, or generally?
The rest of the areas that you want to pilot. So after these 3, are there 3 more, are there 10 more,
10
where
more,
are
30
they?
more. What's your game plan?
So the pilot plan proposal and comprehensive.
Yes.
Yeah, your definition of here are the places you want to install these to give you an assessment on whether it is sensible or not. So like you see a map, Boston, here.
Yeah, and yeah, which is what we have, so we'll bring that again. Okay.
So that's in Fenway, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I can't vote in favor of this area, I mean, as it stands.
So the one comment to make, the reason that Fenway is where it is, as you remember the first time we went through, we had the support of Samuels and Associates for 2 locations. Those went in, they've been highly successful. What we're seeing is that because they are there, and because of course the Red Sox have games every couple of days, that there's an opportunity now that we can use those signs, the community uses those signs to message people who are only coming for maybe 1 or 1.5 games per season, that Fenway is a neighborhood that offers a ton of events. So on Friday, for example, in Tasty Burger, there's going to be this beer fest, beer garden. This is something that you would see on the signs. So the Fenway location is unique in that we started with the Samuels and Associates backing, and now we have 2 signs with demand for more. So that's why those locations are shown.
They're a duplicate of a product that's already out there.
So, understood.
Next
If you
news.
think that is true, then I would love to challenge whoever has those boards to show more events of what is happening in that area as a citizen of the city.
Yep, and I'm with you, because unfortunately, this commission doesn't have oversight on that. It's the BRA, the BPDA, and absolutely, they do put that, but I don't feel, as you do, enough of it.
So we will continue the conversation, truly recognize what you all are doing, but it needs to be balanced so that it is not at the advantage of parts of our city to other parts of the city to private. Okay? So that's understood. Because you are getting the rights to be at that spot through this commission, and that's what starts this whole game. Next item, new business, Cambridge Street, Brighton Avenue, Harvard Avenue, specific repairs on a petition by Changing Environments Inc., also known as SUFA.
So we're very excited that in the Austin area, we also, even though when we initially introduced the SUFA signs, there were a lot of questions around, oh, this is a very active community, they have their paper bulletin boards, are they going to be in favor of this new technology? On recommendation of the commission, we actually, before installing the SUFA signs, put notices onto the paper bulletin boards, ask for people's feedback. And one of the learnings that we actually have from this pilot location that we want to expand on is similar. The community is using the SUFA signs. There is a portal similarly where people can upload the content to those signs. And we have from independent artists to concert holders, various people who post to the SUFA sign. So much so that we don't we can't even show all the wonderful content that is being produced in that area, which is why we're supporting that neighborhood with 3 more locations marked on the plans that should be in front of you.
One of the locations you are proposing is at Harvard and ComAd, where the city is planning on spending about $20 million to reimagine that space. Just need you to recognize the fact that you are taking a very narrow sidewalk, shrinking it even further, leaving it 5 feet, okay, at one of the highest visible locations. Okay, so as much as there's community content, I see prime advertising spots where the location may compete with city needs. So don't want to say this each time my mouth opens, but you need to recognize that as much supportive as we are in your cause, when that asset needs to move, in the simplicity which you are installing, it will move. It will need to move. And if you are getting 90% of your ad revenue, whatever the point in time in the future is coming from that location, is not going to be of a singular concern to this commission. Okay? That is what is being thrown in our face. Saying, oh, we gave you that right to be there, and that doesn't mean that that right is there through eternity.
Totally understood. And also we would love to support any community outreach and civic engagement for that development, which is actually one of the reasons why we think this is a great location where we can go and say, together with Co-Urbanize and other groups that are working on civic engagement, this is what's happening, reach out to us. So genuinely, I would encourage everyone to check out SUFA signs in our neighborhoods. They have great content from people in the area and questions about projects that are happening.
Any additional comments by commission members?
These are some good locations, specifically, location E, where it's on the sidewalk, at near traffic controls. I think D can be improved upon across the street with a big pedestrian plaza in front of the school that can be located away from the crosswalks and traffic signals. And there's a great opportunity there to site something there. And then F, obviously it's right at the crosswalk again. It could be around the corner on a wider section where Great Scots is, in that area and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that gather there. Where it's put here, there's not a lot of gathering of people. There's a lot of gathering out on the ComAd itself. So I think a couple of those could be improved and get them away from the traffic controls and give greater visibility for your product.
So how's that going to tie into the future ComAd reconstruction too?
Yeah, I mean that's
so one
it's
six is
good,
mobile, right?
It's mobile.
It is mobile. Right. So we will find the best spot for you.
And we can always move.
I'm confident
I
that.
think that's what it makes it so unique. It's an agile city development.
So the way I like to program my brain is yours is on rollers and can be moved.
Exactly.
Last item. Dorchester Avenue Calvert and specific repairs on a petition by changing environments. Super.
Yeah, so we're extremely excited that we are able to petition for location G and H within Ashmont, also with the support of the Transit Authority. This is an area where a lot of demand, also in particular for continuous transit, real-time information is being asked for. And we also believe that showing community content in that area and highlighting things that are happening will help the development of the community.
Again, extremely supportive, all of that good stuff. So I'm just going to give you an example, sir, and if one of you can take a look at what you all have presented to us. Okay. So it is location G for George and Ashmont. The way your photograph shows, that is plunked right down the middle of the sidewalk. So if I'm in a wheelchair, I have to go to the left or the right of it. That's not good. Okay? Because these locations we manage, we widen all this stuff, not for more stuff to come in there, so that it is easy for the pedestrians that are coming from the Ashmont T station. These sidewalks were widened not for, it's made for pedestrians.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you show a picture that is simply geared to the convenience of the person who is supposed to look at the content of it is a bit problematic.
Again, why wasn't it, I mean, it's a whole pedestrian plaza on the back side near Ashmont Grill. There's a pedestrian bench. It's a whole pedestrian plaza. Why wasn't it thought to put it in that area instead of next to the crosswalk in the middle of the street?
I don't know how someone in a wheelchair is
So
going to
Main
navigate.
Streets is doing a bunch of improvements in that plaza, so I feel like that's why it's not currently shown
But we
there.
want to keep away from the traffic controls.
So yeah, I think one is the general redevelopment, but then also one of the great things, meaning that it comes on rollers, also comes with the fact that we need concrete to put the toki bolts into. And I believe that some of the plaza areas are like brick.
Specialty, guess what? When we put the stuff in there, this sounds ironic. We were hoping someone will maintain. Guess what? No one. So feel free if you find the ideal spot to pull it out, put concrete and step it.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
But here's the caveat. That is not God. That's try to be mindful about your program cannot be restricted simply in search of concrete. Because if that is the case, some of the downtown areas has lots of brick and you may not be able to put any. Okay?
We have a couple of things with sidewalk cafes where they pull a brick and they have their own anchor, that kind of, so you make your anchor essentially brick size, you go right up.
And just so, and I know we're on time, but just so that you're aware, so one of the reasons why, and this is the first time really we're you know, Ed Krafsik has been urban planner and landscape architect his entire career before joining SUFA, and we're definitely very mindful in designing the pedestrian experience, thinking about bicyclists. Vision Zero is something that is very, very important to all of us. We will definitely make sure that, in particular in the way how it's sometimes hard to show something in a rendering, but we'll make sure that in the future we kind of make that more
Sensitive to the totality of needs that are there.
It is rendered in a way that's misleading, that's for sure.
It could be awkward because that's what's given to these commission members and you want us to support you.
Yes.
So, any other comments? Hearing none, we will.
Just the fact that the locations, basically the area is good. The locations could be worked out a little bit better, away from the traffic controls. You do that, you got my vote.
So, schedule this for a public hearing on August 23rd. That concludes the business of today's hearings. I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, side.
Aye.
Aye.